Okay, so today's video we're going to be dividing polynomials, and I will be totally honest with you, there's an easier way to do this that we're going to learn in a couple of weeks called factoring, but you could see this on EOC or a DCCA. So it's not as confusing as it sounds, trust me. Basically, you're going to be long dividing just like you learned to divide this number. So we've got, our divisor. This is our dividend. And then our answer is the quotient. So the divisor here, dividend inside. How many times, or what do you multiply 16 by to get something that's close to 19 but not bigger? So you guys, you know how to divide. You've been dividing, subtract, bring down, goes in there twice. 32, bring down, 64. So I have a remainder of 0. And to check your answer, all you really need to do is multiply. And that's what last week's video was about. So when in doubt, you do have that option to multiply to see if you got the right answer. And this is something that you need to know that Desmos will not do for you, and neither will the Inspire. So this is something you just have to practice. And that's the goal for today. So the box below shows some quick steps to remember when dividing polynomials. Use these steps. So I've always taught it, you divide, you multiply, you subtract, you bring down, and then you start over. So for 9x squared plus 12x divided by 3x, doing long division, 9x squared plus 12x divided by 3x. So how many times can 3x go into 3x squared? 3x. I multiply. I subtract. I bring down. How many times can 3x go into 4x? 4 times. And I have a remainder of 0. Now, when you get to the Google slide activity, you will see some remainders, and you need to understand that you don't write remainder R, the remainder. You don't write it as a decimal. You're going to write it as a fraction. So the remainder is going to go over the number you're dividing by, the divisor. When you're dividing by a monomial, a single term, you can do long division like that, or you can break it apart. And that way, really, all you have to do is just think about it in terms of reducing fractions. So I have 5x cubed on top, 5x on the bottom. That's going to leave me with 5x squared. 25x squared divided by 5x. 25 divided by 5 is 5. I have an x. 10 divided by 5 is 2. The x's cancel out. So you can do it like that. That only works if you're dividing by a monomial. So for number 3, if I'm dividing by a monomial, I'm going to break it apart. Negative divided by a negative is positive, so I'm going to have 4x. And positive divided by a negative is negative minus 5. And again, you can always go through and review the video I sent last week about multiplying to check to see if you get the same answer. So here is kind of the tough part. because you're actually dividing a trinomial by a binomial. And really all you need to do is look at the first term. So what do I multiply x by to get x squared? Obviously it's x. So now I'm going to multiply. X times x gives me my x squared. X times 5 gives me 5x. And this is where a lot of kids have been having trouble remembering. You're subtracting. So now it's 2x minus 5x. 2 minus 5 is negative 3. My x minus 15. So now we need to figure out, what do I multiply x by to get negative 3x? Negative 3. So I have negative 3x. Negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. Negative 3x minus, so it's like this. Negative 3 minus negative 3. Remember, change opposite, so that's 0. For the constants, I have negative 15 minus negative 15. Change opposite, so that gives me 0. So this is my answer. Dividing, and again, this is the difficult part, but in a couple of weeks, we're going to start our unit on factoring. And there's an easier way to divide, but this is a tested TEK, so you could very easily see it. If you do see it, it will just be one question. But I don't want this to be the one question that keeps you from approach to meets to masters. So 6x squared plus x minus 2, 2x minus 1. What do I multiply 2x by to get 6x squared? That would be 3x. 3x times negative 1, negative 3x. So now here's where, again, people were making their mistakes. I subtract. So when you subtract, I'm going to do it over here. I have x minus negative 3x. Change opposite, so that becomes 4x minus 2. Go back, start over. How many times what do I multiply 2 by? 2x by to get 4x. That's 2. That's 4x. 2 times negative 1, negative 2. Subtracting, I have a remainder of 0. So that is my answer. This is just going to take practice. In order to be proficient. And I have no problem with you using the trick of, if you're dividing by a monomial, break it apart. So I've got 8x divided by 8x squared divided by 4x squared is negative 2. Whoops, sorry. It's not. So it's 8x squared divided by negative 4x is negative 2x plus 6. Negative 24 divided by negative 4 is 6. And that would be your answer. So here, same thing. You're only really looking at the first term in each polynomial. What do you multiply 3x by to get 3x squared? I only need to multiply by x because the coefficient's the same. So that's going to give me 3x squared plus 7x. So now I'm subtracting, just like regular long division. 19 minus 7, 12x plus 28. So now what do I multiply 3x by to get 12x? I multiply by 4. So when I subtract, I have a remainder of 0. Excuse me. So I'm dividing by a monomial. Break it apart. 12 divided by 2 is 6. X cubed divided by x squared is x. Minus 8 divided by 2 is 4. Like I said, this is not heavily tested. Factoring is, especially when we get into solving quadratic equations, factoring, things like that, that's going to be the important part. Okay, so this is mainly how it will be tested with geometric problems. They're not necessarily going to give you the bare naked problems like I just showed you. They're going to give you application problems. Most often, the application problems involve area, volume. So this is exactly the same kind of a problem that you did in 6th grade, where they gave you the area of a rectangle and they gave you one of the dimensions, and you had to divide to find the missing dimension. Same thing here, except here we're using polynomials. So its area is base times height. They gave me my area is 8x minus 12 equals, they gave me my base was 3x minus 2, and I'm finding the height or the width. So just like you did when you were doing this in earlier grades, I'm going to divide by 3x minus 2. So basically we just rewrote the same problem that I showed you on the earlier slides. So 15x squared plus 8x minus 12 divided by negative 3x minus, whoops, sorry, it's not negative. That was just a stray mark. So here, what do I multiply 3x by to get 15x squared? 3 times 5 is 15, so 15x. And it'll be minus 10x. And this is, again, this is where most everyone has made their mistake. 8 minus negative 10. It's not negative 2. We're not adding. It's 8 minus negative 10. So this becomes 18x minus 12. So this right here is where you need to be careful of. And if you need to use a calculator for that part, feel free. But the actual division part, calculator really isn't going to help you. So 3x minus 2 into 18x minus 12. What do I multiply 3 by to get 18x? It's 6. 18x minus 12. I subtract. I have a remainder of 0. So for the next one, we're finding the volume. And if you remember, volume is area of the base times the height. In this case, they gave us that the volume was this polynomial, and it says that the height was this, and you're finding the area. So just like you did, I believe you did this in 6th grade. we're going to divide the volume by the height. So I'm going to have x cubed plus 10x squared plus 11x plus 18 divided by x plus 9. And you start dividing just like we've been doing with the first term. What do I multiply x by to get x cubed? X squared. Now I multiply. I subtract. So we've got x squared. I bring down the 11x. What do I multiply x by to get x squared? I multiply by x. X squared plus 9x. I subtract 2x plus 18. So what do I multiply x by to get 2x? I multiply by 2. 2x plus 18. Subtracting gives me a remainder of 0. So the area of the base of this particular rectangular prism is x squared plus x plus 2. And again, feel free to check with multiplication. That is something you're going to have all day to take. When we get to time to take EOC, you will have the full school day to take the test. It's no longer timed. You won't have just 4 hours. And this could be where you actually have to type in your answers. So that's this part. Okay, the last thing, and this, whoops, sorry. Okay. The last thing is this could very easily be tested, drag and drop. Okay, so imagine, and I know you would have 3 drag and drop with the names, and they could ask you to drag based on what's written here, drag it to the correct person's problems. So you're going to have to divide each of these, and this is going to be the new part for you, and you will see on one slide on the assignment, you will see it will ask you for remainders. So the only way to do a problem like this is to go ahead and do the division. So starting with the first one, negative x squared plus 6x minus 10, x minus 3. This is going to be negative x. So negative 1 minus negative 1 squared. Those cancel out, make it the opposite. So here I have 3x minus 10. I'm going to multiply by 3. 3x minus 9. Subtract the opposite here. I'm going to have a remainder of negative 1. So this is how you write, and I'm going to do them down below where I have a little more room. This is how you would write the answer. Okay, so that right there tells us it's not Sawyer and it's not Brock. So this has to be Jones. So we'll go to the next problem. (3x squared minus 14x plus 15 divided by x minus 3, 3x Negative 14 minus negative 9 is negative 5x plus 15. What times negative 5x? What times x gives you negative 5x? Negative 5, negative 5x minus, plus 15. Negative 5 minus negative 5 is 0. 15 minus 15 is 0, so this is my answer. So this would be Sawyer. And now to check the final. X minus 3, 5x squared minus 7x minus 20, 5x minus 15x that's 8x minus 24. I have a remainder of 4, so I'm going to do 5x plus 8, and this is how you write your remainder, 4 over my divisor. So, and that happens to be Brock. So this is what you're going to be expected to do. This last question is a perfect example of how they could very easily test it. Okay? Where you're going to have to do more than one division problem for this, more than one division for the same problem to drag and drop, just like this. So this will get you through what the kids did for 8A last Wednesday. Practice, go stop, look at this, review it. We did take a quiz on Friday. So when you're ready, I need you to take it. And then I'm also going to send you the video for what we're doing tomorrow. So that'll be, I'll email you that link hopefully tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, so that you can stay caught up with exactly what we're all doing. Okay? Let me know if you have any questions at all.